welcome to the Adrian Finance YouTube channel. So today we're gonna do another quick overview. This is probably gonna be like one of my top 5 favorite companies of all time. It's gonna be Apple, ticker symbol AAPL. We're filming this on 6/18/2020, the same one as the Amazon video. Right now, Apple is trading around 131 or 331 or 351 to around 353 as of today in the after hours. So just to go over Apple again, everybody knows what Apple is. They have the Mac or the MacBooks, iPads, Apple Watches, iPhones, App Store, pretty much everything that has to do with like iOS and Mac OS and things like that. So their business model is a little bit like kind of weird. So they have the iPhone, which is 54% of their sales, services, which is 17% of their sales, Mac and wearables is around 10% each. So Apple is a little bit like dependent on their iPhone. So if iPhones aren't doing good or they're not selling good, they're gonna be losing a whole lot of revenue, a whole lot of profit, and as well as like, if it's kind of like a recession and people can't afford like $1,500 phones, $1,000 phones, Apple's gonna have to like move around towards like the $500, $600 range. Like so far as like their iPhone SE or even like their iPhone 11, iPhone XR lineups, they're like around $700. So the income statement for Apple. It is growing revenue every year. I feel like Apple's getting like a little bit more towards their budget-friendly phones. So they released the iPhone SE, which is around like $400, which has been like selling a lot. They have steady profit levels, of course, every year. As soon as a new iPhone comes out, people always want to buy it. People are always like waiting in line for days to get the new iPhone. Especially with the MacBook, iPad. Every time they release an Apple Watch, people are always waiting in line to get it. So that's really, really good, and they have a really loyal fan base. Gross profit and net profit is pretty good every year too. It always keeps increasing, but it really is dependent on how the iPhone is doing, since it's pretty much half of their business right there. And they're really good EPS as well too. Their balance sheet, probably like one of the best ones out there, not compared to Alphabet. But they have a great cash on hand. It's around $100 billion. So if anything were to happen to Apple, like if they shut down sales for the iPhone, shut down sales for the Mac or anything like that, or were to experience like a really big delay on their iPhones, I think they'll be really, really good for years to come, to pay their employees, to pay their producers and things like that, to make sure they're a continuous company. So they do have a little bit of long-term debt and current debt. It's around like $91 billion for long-term debt, but they have enough money to pay it all off if they wanted to at one time. I wouldn't see the need to do that, but they could just do it anytime, or like for example, if the iPhone were to explode or anything like that, they could pay for everything or any type of lawsuit. So just go over their business model, heavily dependent on the iPhone, but they still have like the App Store, iTunes, Apple Watches, iPads, pretty much everything. AirPods, I have everything here, and we're filming on an iPhone right now as well too. Pros and cons. So pros, they have lots of cash on hand just to be able to like to have any defense against like COVID or anything like that. If anything were to happen to Apple, they have the cash to even acquire other companies. So they could buy Netflix, they could buy Samsung, they could buy whoever they want just because with all the cash they have on hand. Maybe not like to the levels of Berkshire, but they have a lot of cash on hand to be able to save themselves if they needed anything. Super loyal fan base. I have everything, MacBook, iPad, iPhone. I have everything Apple, including Apple stock. So people love iOS, people like that. If you're not really into Samsung, you're 100% on iPhone. So it's really hit or miss with people. Some people really like iPhone, some people really like Galaxy. But the people who do like iPhone, they have everything. They get into the Apple ecosystem. Apple Card. They're bringing out a whole lot of things, Apple TV and things like that. So they're always gonna be growing. And then if you get into the ecosystem, you're gonna have everything iPhone, and it just makes even more sales to Apple itself. Warren Buffett is probably the biggest one, of course. So Warren Buffett, I believe it's like around $71 billion in Apple right now, and it's been growing ever since. Just because. He bought it around the 160s, and right now it's like around $350. So that's a whole ton of money that he made. And they do pay a really good dividend as well too. I believe it's around like 1.5%. So it's not the levels of AT&T or anything like that, but there's gonna be a consistent dividend. And with all the cash they have on hand, they're able to just continue that for years to come as well too. They do control US sales. So again, like if you aren't into Galaxy or if you aren't into LG or Google phones, you're gonna be really leaning towards the iPhones. And then people are like really good. Like I feel like a little bit like Samsung phones are a little bit more like harder to work with, and iPhones are like super easy, and things like that. The cons, they are a little bit pricey. The Pro Max starts off at $1,100, the Pro's $1,000, and the iPhone 11 starts off at $700. And then if you get like a higher capacity model, it's gonna be a little bit more expensive. For example, the Mac, I believe you can range it all the way to $50,000. I don't see a purpose in that, unless you're like you're making movies or something like that. But, Apple is a little bit on the more pricier end, but they back it up with the people. It's the Apple tax, but people still pay it no matter what, and they're always gonna get money off of that. Cons, they're too much dependent on the iPhone. So the iPhone sales is 54%, which is a huge amount. So for example, if Galaxy were to release a new phone and everybody would want it, and decrease sales around like 50% of Apple, that's pretty much like a quarter% of their revenue that's gonna go down. And kill the thing where they have to bring up Mac or they have to bring up services to help out with the dent in their revenue. So the levels that I would buy at, I have a couple shares of Apple right now. I took a little bit of profit on them just because the levels are so high right now. But my buying range is around 160 to around 210, and then 210 to like 250 would be like my not load the boat, but just continuously buy shares and things like that. I have one share right now since I sold the other ones, and right now my return on investment is around 101%. I bought it at 160, and now it's at 351. So I have 101% return on rate. I'll probably continue to keep buying Apple for years to come. An amazing company. Highly recommend everybody to buy it. Just right now, I think they're super overvalued just because they aren't open all the way. Sales of the iPhone have gone down. Nobody really wants to buy an iPhone right now with the whole COVID situation. They are recession proof, but I feel like they'll be a little more safe to wait till they get to like between 160 to like 250 would be like the perfect spot for me. And I'll probably allocate like around like 20 to 30% of my portfolio in Apple. They're number one right now in like the most valuable companies. An amazing CEO, and then Warren Buffett of course backs them up. So if the price keeps going down, Warren Buffett's gonna keep buying more. Alright guys, sorry for making it a little bit long. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you on the next one. It's probably gonna be JP Morgan or Tesla, but I'll see you.